get profit out of it. But what that shows you is that circles then do not expand and they end up collapsing and failing. And at the end of the day, the benefit then gets to die out because we think that buying is data is going to move on. Second, you ask what street buying actually looks like. The idea is that on the side of the house, we expect them to run an argument and tell us how the street buying is actually going to look like. They fail to do that, to show you what it actually looks like. It looks like when you enforce a law, and maybe most people are supposed to follow that particular kind of law, and maybe there are also punishments for when you don't actually follow into the law. That actually shows you that the circle goes ahead to invest more money because it necessarily has a lot of income. You don't get to punish that particular kind of circle, or maybe you don't have punishment for that kind of thing. Even at the end of the day, the circles get to be discouraged with investment, but secondly, it also prevents people from actually prevents people from saving those particular kinds of circles because people then see those circles as bad if you're not able to give that kind of money. From the nature of circles, we give you a very clear analysis of what these circles do like. We tell you these are circles that actually have people like employees. These are circles that have managers. These are circles that give so much money to people as loans. What does this show you? It shows you that the main reason why circles are invested is to give people loans. The only source of income for circles is large people's savings. But this shows you that there is a very big gap between how much money circles spend and how much money circles get to actually take it. What that shows you means that circles need extra money to be able to help them and facilitate them. And then question them on how circles fail out on losing those money investment and how many circles actually fail out on lack of funds to actually give out. This shows you that there is a very big difference from the side of the house and the side of the house. On the side of the house, we explain to them. So many circles fail out just because they don't have money to give out to people. They lose all their money because they're giving out so many loans, they do not have income. On the side of the house, they fail to show us how any of that actually happens. On the side of the house, we explain to you that circles lose out because they don't have money to give out to people. Yet they always have like so much expenditure. And at the end of the day, it's important for them to actually invest so much of their money and get so many profits out of that. On the side of the house, that does not necessarily get to happen because they do not have. The third question we ask them is if circles largely fail out for losing people's money and the circles actually fail out with not having money to give. Now the best benefit on the side of the house is that circles largely have the autonomy to invest in what they want because they get to get the benefit out of that, and we think that is good for them. Circles are formal businesses. They can invest money they have. They can read the accounts and know how much money they can actually invest. I think on your side, you don't even invest the money. You have less investment because you discourage, and therefore you don't even have the loans to give out to people. So circles use out the context of the side than on our side.
Those make you feel safe. So when you say restrictions, make people feel safe.
I don't think they do. They infringe on people's autonomy, things like that.
So it's really well without rules.
That's not what we mean. We just mean that we don't need to be strict for circles because they can actually manage their autonomy and freedom because they are formal, they can decide for themselves what they can actually do.
believe that if circles do not have income, the major aim of the circles actually are not going to be fulfilled. They come here and talk about things that that the circles that they have specialized people, for example, the accountants that help the circles to make that. But we do believe, that is why we come in and we tell them that those people also make mistakes. At the end of the day, if they invest the little money they have, because an accountant has said that they invest in this, at the end of the day, if the circles make losses, at the end of the day, the people are the ones who are actually going to have made the loss, not only that accountant. That means that it's actually not going to be supporting the major objective of the circles. They come here and talk about things like, that there's going to be continuity, the major aim, because the circles are going to be getting a lot of profits. But we come here and we tell them that there is no guarantee that the circles are going to get the profits, because there is also a possibility that they are going to get a lot of money and invest it in big things, which is actually actually also possible that they're actually going to make losses, of which the people are not going to be investing in the circle, are not going to be benefiting from the circles, and the major aim as why they started it. We come and we tell them that at the end of the day, in our case, we say that there is continuity in the major aim of the circles. That is to say that the people are going to be benefiting from the reasons as to why they began the circles. But for them, they come here they also come here and talk about that in low investments, the people are likely not to get high loans since they are low investments. But we do believe that the people are given the loans according to the way they save in the circles. A person who saves, for example, 100,000 in a circle is not going to be given a loan of 1 million. The people are going to be given the loans that they actually manage, that is actually going to be beneficial to them. With that, I believe that we deserve to win. I submit.
Thank you very much, last affirmative speaker. Welcome the last opposition speaker to close the debate.
I'll begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. I'll begin with framing and show you the matrices of judgment and how we then specifically win on those all matrices. Firstly, on framing, they come and tell us that they think these kinds of circles look like three things. A, they have people of same capacities, but secondly, they are located at maybe similar geographical locations. So we show you that we think circles have structures that are then formal. That is to say, they have audits, they have secretaries, and all those kinds of individuals. Why is this important? Two things. Notice that at the end of the day, then the members then influence the choices of these kinds of circles. We mean that at the end of the day, if you want to make something like a choice, it is then the members who then justify what you then choose. Now, why does that then become important at the end of the debate? Notice that then if you are then looking at things like strictness, you're then biting away this kind of autonomy that they come and tell us that they think these kinds of circles look like three things. A, they have people of same capacities, but secondly, they are located versus autonomy. I think outside of the house then takes it. I.e., we think if you're then being strict on these kinds of circles, it means at the end of the day, something like a choice. It is then the members who then justify what you then choose. Now, why does that then become important at the end of the debate? Notice that then if you are then looking at things like strictness, you're then biting away this kind of autonomy that they come and tell us that they think these kinds of circles look like three things. A, they have people of same capacities, but secondly, they are located versus autonomy. I think outside of the house then takes it. I.e., we think if you're then being strict in these kinds of circles, it means at the end of the day, something like a choice. It is then the members who then justify that they largely do not engage in throughout the debate. I'll show why it is important. We show you that we think if you're then educating these very individuals, the mere fact that they have the autonomy and choice to do what they think is right. We think at the end of the day, you're like telling them this is something that may maybe help you at the end of the day. We think that largely benefits these circles because at the end of the day, they would want to go for what they think is maybe going to give them a lot of sums of money at the end of the day on the purpose of circles. If you're to judge this debate on who best achieves the purpose of circles, we think outside of the house then takes it. Because we tell you that we think if you're then giving these very circles the autonomy, it means they will have to invest in the projects where they have the capability. That is to say, after you doing things like regulation and audit, it means you're then giving them a chance to go and invest in investments where they can then be capable. Why they lose out on it is that you bring about strictness. We show you why strictness then becomes bad. Three things. We tell you that A, this strictness comes along with penalty. Right? But secondly, because of things like deterrence and certain things about collapse, we tell you that it then becomes bad because it then does not achieve the purpose of circles. That's why from cross-examination, we tell you things like high investments then brings about high profits at the end of the day. So we think at the end of the day there is this kind of profit within these circles, and we think things like not are then achieved on that side of the house. Because if at all a member wants a loan, it's like very easier for them to come and pick it. Because after all, you have the investments, you have the money at the end of the day. Why then does not happen is that there is this kind of strict stuff. Thirdly, on now worst case scenario where maybe risks exist, we still think outside of the house now best solves the problem and achieves the purpose of success.
Thank you very much. I think it's a silent round.
oyagala zikoleki kubira mutokwata oyagala nyawe
gained over 1 million signatures. That's the last time. Again. Motion. This House opposes the rise of public trials. Motion one more time. This House opposes the rise of public trials. I guess Ofcom can come and give you information about breakfast.
Yeah, go on.
Okay, guys, one last piece of information. Your birth time is going to be strictly 15 minutes from now. So the extra 5 minutes that you will spend, I think that's a benefit for you. But also secondly, if by 15 minutes breakfast is ready, then you guys will have breakfast fast before going to the round. But if the 15 minutes are done and breakfast is not yet here, the communication we shall pass up our B to proceed. Also, this is an open round, so you can expect feedback and the value. But lastly, I don't expect anyone to be using a phone at this point in time. I don't expect any external assistance. I only expect the three teams, the three debaters in a team, prepared by themselves. So help that.
both of the stakeholders. That is to say, the suspect himself and also the offender. I think that doesn't necessitate that they are right? We think they have to just we think they have so much involved simply because you can't but also that there is a level of innocence. If they have a bad, you come and have to ask what the criminal is the suspect innocent, right? We think that is very bad to have an investment in the rights of trials simply because they are already right? And the first thing that is their human right? Because they have a right to fair judgment, right? We think it is very bad to have the right to public trials simply because there is no justice for the suspect, right? We think on that note then, we oppose the right of public trials. More to that, we think that with the right of public trials, there is influence of decision making by the judge. Why do we think so? We think this because entirely the public that is being involved, they do not specify who exactly will sign this petition and who will be involved in the decision making, right? We think that even when they are not on the panel, they have a right to incentivize and influence the decision of the judge, which is now against the rights of the suspect, right? We think they are still also humans and they deserve things like human rights protection. We think that in their own side of the house there is a lot of iniquity because of such kind of a perspective, right? We think that when the public notices that you are a suspect of something, there is a higher likelihood and a higher incentive for them to actually that you are a right? We then think that they do not have a right to come and talk about the terrorist mechanism. Let me show you how the terrorist mechanism is being achieved outside of the house. And with the sisters who have already shown you that public trials already exist. We have a very big problem with the right of public trials. Simply because I now go to the point of deterrence, right? I think they do not have that right of coming over to talk about deterrence because we already see that them being subjected to public trials, not the right, is already deterring criminals in the country. But I think there is no necessity of having the right in public trials. We feel keeping the status quo as this is much more important because the stakeholders are being protected, that is in terms of their human rights, that is to say the suspect and the offender, right? We think justice is the major aim of today's debate of both the offender and the suspect, which we achieve in the outside of the house when we have simply trials, not necessarily the rise of these public trials. We then think that on that perspective, we stand to win today's debate because also things like social media come with false information and delay in judgment.
Thank you so much for that fine speech. We can have the first segment of this examination.
Come again? It is before the public. I think you've heard in my respective speech. Come again? I've already told you that the public incentivizes the judgment. Therefore, there is a higher likelihood of changing the verdict. You will notify us about that in your speeches. We think a lot of rise in public trials is not the option to go with. We don't think public trials rise is an option to go with.
Alright, we can have the opening speech from team opposition ready by
Okay, so before the next speaker starts, the public speakers move to the room. Let's all move to our room. We are starting the round as soon as I arrive in that room, as soon as Charlie, Judge, 70 people that arrives in her room also. We shall start the round. So let's be there.
I'll begin my speech in 3, 1, resolved. This also causes the rise of public trials. Public trials, in the case of the team proposition, brings here a case that maybe they see that the rise of public trials is the problem at hand, which we see that maybe they are trying to confuse the whole congregation. How do they say the rise of public trials is a problem? They say the rise of public trials is maybe a lot of growth and influence in the public trials. They say the public trials have been present, but currently it is being risen. And what do they bring at the table? They bring problems like suspects' names are tarnished, innocence of the criminal is not known to the public, there is unfair judgment, there is no justice for the suspect. They say that maybe there is influence of decision making, they say there is iniquity, there is no deterrence in our case, and And they also ask us if we can tell them about Act 28. Act 28, it is a constitutional right. It is a constitutional right that allows all citizens to be involved in a session of a court, and that is Act 28. Therefore, we see that in a public trial, there is that Act 28 that is being catered for. What is, if they can say that we don't want the rise of public trials, what's the option? They're not giving us the option. As the vice speaker asked them in the cross-examination, they are talking about social media and delay in judgment. Social media and delay in judgment. How do you see this? They say social media is going to tarnish the judgment. Maybe social media is going to influence the decision making. But we see the judgment is always made up over the constitution of Uganda. If the judgment is made over the constitution of Uganda, how do you tell me that this judgment is going to influence the judgment? How do you tell me that this social media is going to influence the judgment and bring about injustice? We don't see this. In this case, they talk of maybe a suspect's name is Spanish. How do they say that the suspect's name is Spanish? They say the suspect is going to be known as someone who is a criminal. They say in public they are going to see someone who is suspected being a criminal. And after that, they don't tell us. They say that maybe someone, when someone is found innocent after being a suspect, the public won't be innocent. But already, it is a public trial. A public trial is where you find people are judged, and after being judged, they are supposed to what they should do if they are found guilty. And if they are innocent, they are set free also in public. Therefore, the public is also rest assured that someone is innocent or guilty. Therefore, there is nothing like tarnishing the name of the suspect after being found innocent, because the innocence is also publicly tried. What do they say? They say there is no justice for the suspect. How do you tell me there is no justice for the suspect in this? A public trial, people are witnesses, people have evidenced everything, people are watching that maybe this one is in wrong, this one is not in wrong. How do you tell me someone is not going to have justice, yet people are there to witness everything? They talk of iniquity. They say that offenders and suspects should the offended and the suspect should be the ones in between. But remember, there are those people who have eyewitness. They are also the public. They should come to the table and be in the case. And that's the public trial. What is the rise today? The rise today, we talk of the Okelo Onyum Christopher court session, which was made public, and maybe the trial is also made public. They bring about, should the Ugandan rugby prayer case of the suspect be brought to a public trial? It is a public demand that should be brought to a public trial. Why do we see that public trials? Why do we see the rise of public trials being advantageous in our case? In our case, public trials, first of all, they bring about reduced crime rates, because people fear shame. They fear to be ashamed in front of others, and therefore they will not get involved in those crimes. Therefore, we shall have a crime-free area. They talk of they bring about transparency because, one, it is a public trial. Being reason to a public trial, people will have to see that there is transparency in the judicial system. There is public trust. People will have a public trust in the judiciary, and that's what we want in Uganda. Therefore, we are trying to promote justice and transparency in a criminal-free world in our world, whereby we see in their world there is, first of all, increase in bribery, there is increase in injustice, which we do not want in our Uganda today, and that's why we bring about the rise of public trials and defend it that it is indeed advantageous because it brings about justice and transparency. As my second speaker will continue to clarify you clearly, better than the team opposition, but team proposition, I ask, what is the status quo? Thank you very much.
All right, let's have the first and second segment of cross-examination.
Innocence or the guiltiness of the person.
Justify the problem solvents you have on your side of the house when you have the rights.
My second speaker will be there for that.
Okay, so even when you claim that you have so-called public rights, right? Does that justify the fact that the suspect's name will still be tarnished?
Pardon?
Even when you claim you have to have a perfect right, justify the accountability of his name being tarnished.
All right, we can get to the second speeches ready to be 3 minutes, right?
Okay, this house opposes the rise of public trials. So what negative side has failed to understand is the rise that is happening in today's world. So they fail to understand that the rise includes social media, things like social media, so they fail to characterize on that. So that is why they fail. So they talk about the Act 28 of the Constitution, but they fail to understand that this act actually favors public trials, but not the rise of public trials, and that is what they fail to understand at the end of the day. So we then think that when there is no rise, and there is just public trials, we then think that people are involved at the end of the day. So they do not give a clear justification of that. So they talk about transparency, but again on transparency, they talk about people, thousands of people talking about one suspect who they can't even know whether they are innocent or whether they are committed a crime. But they fail to understand that transparency is blinded by things like social media that has risen at the end of the day. So that is what they fail to understand. So they talk about bribery and injustice, but what we show you is that bribery happens on their side of the house where many people are involved in something. So on our side of the house, we show you that a case is being handled between 3 or 4 parties. So what are the people that are involved are the judges, the offender, and the eyewitnesses. So bringing the involvement of other people is not going to at the end of the day. What happens is that the judges are influenced by their decisions are influenced by what the people think, right? So the majority, using social media, this is not what would want to happen on our side of the house. So the rise is the problem that we would not want to see. So they also talk about judging fairly the innocent, but they fail to understand that even when these people are innocent, they are spread all over social media and they are being talked to. People comment negatively about them. So what happens is that they create a negative thing on the name of this innocent person, and at the end of the day, we think that is violation of human rights. But on our side of the house, we show you that this weekend's decision making, the rise of it, and also number 2, we show you that there's much bureaucracy at the end of the day. So the process being handled by many people that aren't supposed to even to be involved, this creates something like a delay, and at the end of the day, the justice that was supposed to be provided is not provided at the end of the day. So we show you that the stakeholders are favored on our side of the house, where we support something like public trials only without the rise of it. We characterize for you what happens in the rise, things like social media want to see. So they also talk about judging fairly the innocent, but they fail to understand that even when these people are innocent, they are spread all over social media and they are being talked to. People comment negatively about them. So what happens is that they create a negative thing on the name this innocent person, and at the end of the day, we think that is violation of human rights. But on our side of the house, we show you that this weekend's decision making, the rise of it.
The innocence also posted on social media or not?
So the innocence, even if it was to be posted on social media, we think that people have already tarnished the name of this particular individual.
Thank you. Do you believe that there is no tarnishing of someone's name?
No, the tarnishing of the person's name is there because people comment negatively about this particular person, and at the end of the day, people comment negatively about this very person.
What is the status quo of this?
So the status quo is that there is a rise in public trials, which we are actually against. Thank you.
So resolved. In today's debate, we actually see confusion from the team proposition, where they come and speak about innocence. Actually, only their case is rotating about innocence. So now, we're supposed to know how this, if they speak about the tarnishment of the name of a suspect's name in public, how do they explain this? this in today's resolution. So now, they also know that if a person is found innocent or guilty, the case is posted on social media. So now, what do we see in today's resolution? From our case, we explain it clearly that even if the person is found innocent, then the person is still posted on the social media saying that the person is actually innocent. So that actually shows justice. So now, first of all, in today's resolution, we have to understand what is the problem. What problem do we see in private? What problem do we see in private trials? First of all, we have bribery and we have injustice, which is not in our case. So now, if the public trials have been made on Okello and you have actually come to realize that the person is actually guilty, what question do they still understand? Do they still want to know about tarnishing the name of a person? If the person is found guilty, the person is actually guilty, and also the public has to know that the person is actually guilty. So now, in today's resolution, what are we promoting in our case? We are promoting justice and transparency and a crime-free world, which is not actually in their case. So now, when they come to their resolution, they say that isn't the Article 28 from the Constitution option, and actually you have to understand, if it's a right of human beings, then we are not denying their rights. And also, they also say that we have the delay of justice. If people are hearing, if people are there to witness what is actually being happened, the testimonies and what the person is speaking, actually to know that the justice actually is delivered quickly. And also, what do we see in our case where we have the public trials? We see reduced crime rates because there is fear of shame, and also we see transparency because the people follow up to demand for accountability. And also we have public trust in justice. If the people are able to hear the testimonies of the person being tried in front of the public, they're able to know that actually they have promoted justice, because they will know that the person is supposed to speak that I'm innocent or I'm guilty, or they follow up the person to find that a person actually did a specific crime, and actually you find that we are promoting justice in our case. And also, what are we seeing that is the problem? In their debate, they say that they do not want public trust. Then they have not given us what they want in today's resolution. So we beg them to come and explain what they want and take to us.
All right. So can we have the last segment of cross-examination?
Speaker, what happens if the suspect is declared innocent?
If the person is declared innocent, and the people know that the person.
What happens to the name that has already been tarnished on things like social media?
The name will not be tarnished because the person is.
Thank you. Do you concede to the fact that public trials deter criminalism?
No.
Thank you so much. Have we had public trials in place?
Since you have already known that Okello had a public trial, you should actually know that.
Have we had public trials in place?
You have already had.
Okay. So do you think public trials deter criminalism? The fact that we've had.
Do you think public trials deter criminalism? Yes.
Thank you so much. Account for bribery that happens undercover, not in public.
That's why we're putting public trials to stop the bribery.
Account now, if a judge is in their house and they are
only see
account for the bribery
private
that
trials.
happens
In
there.
public trials, we don't see bribery.
Do you understand that we don't have private trials in the entire parameter?
That's why we're putting.
So account for
listen.
Account for bribery undercover.
Can I have the last speech from
Okay. The resolution clearly states this also causes the rise of public trials, right? First of all, we think things like private trials are out of context in today's debate, because we think the person that wins today's debate is the team that is able to show us the feasibility of the rise versus public trials. So unless OP is able to show the rise is able to solve
the problems in status quo, then they don't stand to win today's debate. Unless OP is able to show us how they solve the problem of bribery with the rise, they don't win today's debate.
able to show us how deterrence is so, or how deterrence is most effective with the right, they still don't lose, they still win, they still lose today's debate, right? Moving on, we think there is a big problem in the idea of which kind of portion interpretation they bring about in today's debate. They claim that we are actually looking at things like private trials, right? We think that is clearly out of context and it has been stressed enough. What we say is that unless they are able to show us that public trials in and out of itself is unnecessary or is useless, then they still lose in today's debate. What we come tell you from the first speech, from the second speech, and the third speech is that they are already effective. They fail to come and clarify their burden which they have on today's debate. But also too, on the idea of the trial of Okello, right? Even when we take them at their best case and he was proved guilty, right? We think it doesn't change the fact that he has been demonized, right? Still, at the end of the day, he can't live in society because his name has been punished, right? Moving on, I think we need to clarify on which kind of innocence they bring in today's debate. Even when the person is claimed to be innocent, we still think it doesn't change the fact that people will still be looking at him as someone who has cried. That is the demonization. The person who feel out of place, they fail to understand, right? They fail to understand that, right? But also too, on the idea of bribery, right? We think bribery is less achieved. This is a symmetrical point, right? It means it's both on our sides of the house, so it shouldn't be judged in today's debate, right? But we think it is more on their side of the house, whereby millions of people are engaged in this kind of thing, and therefore the decision that is made is unfair. What that does to society is that they don't show us how the rights then solves that kind of problem. But we think in our side of the house, where we only support public trials, we think the effect of the harm that is brought would be less on our side of the house, right? But also too on the idea of deterrence, right? We think this is also an asymmetrical point, but what happens on their side of the house is that the deterrence isn't effective, right? In that when people or millions of people over social media see someone being tried, they are not going to care whether he's innocent or not. All they want to do, or all they want to see on social media, on TikTok, is that whether he is getting a punishment or not. And that is what happens when the rise is there. What happens when the other people oppose is that what happens is that when we have public trials in and out of itself, we are able to show you that the offended, the offenders, and all the people, all the stakeholders in today's debate are then so catered for in today's debate. But also three, we think that we beat them on both a principled level and a pragmatic level. On a principled level is that we are able to show them that they don't have the kind of fair judgment, because the judge is more likely to receive societal justification on his judgment. He's going to give either a long term or a shorter term than they would have got. What happens with public trials is that we are unable to get this kind of effect, because the judge is more likely to give something because he won't fear that people are going to judge me on basing on the decision I made. That said, if someone didn't deserve that term, they are going to get something which is a higher term that they would have got in today's debate. I beg to rest.
I begin my speech. From my first to the second speaker, we actually come here and clarify to these people that the audience and the public are not present as influencers of judgment. They are only present as demanders of accountability. So if they're actually present as demanders of accountability, how are they going to influence the judgment? And actually also verify to them that throughout the entire session, what we are looking at is completely driven by the constitution of Uganda. That is, it is completely driven by law. So how then do they come telling us, how then do they come convincing us that the people are going to actually influence this? In the first place, public trial is actually making sure, is actually fighting for the cause of the constitution of Uganda, is actually fighting the cause of justice, because in the first place, we want justice to be delivered. So there is no way that a judge or whoever is actually carrying out this process is going to deter from the law, because at the end of it all, what is justice delivered? And justice delivered can only be based on the law. Secondly, they have someone stated their case on innocence of the suspect. But I actually pose a question to the first speaker, whereby I ask her, when they have actually been sentenced innocent, is it actually publicized? And she agreed that it is publicized. So then how is there a retention of the suspect's name when innocence is actually being publicized as well? So they actually come here and decline the rise of public trials, but they do not actually tell us how they are going to make sure that justice is delivered in a country like this, whereby we are having a high level of injustice in the current judiciary system. So that's why we actually would like them to come here and be held accountable and tell us how they're going to actually make sure that injustice level has increased, is increasing without the public trials. They actually also agree that they are actually also advocating for public trial, and they say they are effective. So my question to them is, if it is actually effective, we need to promote it to make sure that all the other similar cases that are having this problem, only because there are thousands and thousands of other cases lying there. So why not actually promote the public trials to make sure that even those that are not receiving justice are receiving justice? Secondly, they actually also realize by coming here and agreeing that the public trials are actually effective, it also means that they realize that there is much that public trials can do compared to the private ones. So they also come here and tell us, how are we going to make sure that the judge has received that right under the roof of their house is not going to deliver wrong judgment. But I assure you, yes, they will deliver, they will get the
they are going to receive the verdict. But at the end of the day, they will have to make sure they are giving the correct verdict, because at the end of the day, it is the people that are watching, it is the people that want the right accountability. So there is no that the party is going to make the wrong judgment simply because of the verdict. In the first case, you're not actually catering for bribery, I think it is wrong. We are catering for justice. What we want at the end of the day is to make sure that the justice is delivered. So when you're in the two sides, we actually realize that outside outweighs theirs, because we are catering for justice, we are catering for innocence as well, because if they are innocent, they will be publicized, and if they are wrong, they will be publicized, because in the first place we want to make sure that no one else commits a crime after that. Second, and as I come to a conclusion, they also agree that many people are involved. I would want to hammer this again. Many people are involved, not as influencers, but only as demanders of accountability. They are not part of the bureaucracy. There is no bureaucracy that the system is going to be delayed. In fact, there are very many cases in court right now that are being delayed without having to be published. If you're so keen on following the judicial system, you find that the public, the private cases are being delayed. You find that a case of 5 or more years being delayed without the public having to be engaged. So we rest our case, and we believe that we check.
Okay, so thank you so much for that round. Debate is not a group or die, but I would like to encourage us to have a handshake as I know that this is thank you so much. We'll be back from this round. So this will be the structure of my okay. I will start like this first with the general overview of the round, and then after that, I will most probably give the call, and then finally justify the call, and then where there is a need, I will take like 1 or 2 questions if at all they are there, or since I pass over the one. One thing that you ultimately have to understand is that every time you have a motion, you always want to understand its nature and demands. Every word like in a motion counts. Every word that is why you find when a motion has a word like opposes, it's debated differently from when it has like would. So that means in and out of itself, every word is essential. But the most important thing, every time you meet an emotion that has an info slide, treat it with respect, because the debate, like the core idea of the debate, is centered. Most of the ideas are in that sort of motion. So when you try to look at this motion, there was a bit of element about over 1,000 people. I don't know if we addressed our minds to that. And that is something that would quite be important, that would be beneficial to the entire teams in the round. Then most importantly, where that you have like emotions like, okay, this house opposes most probably, one, you're trying to look at something that has already happened, or like it is in space, right? So that means if you say this bottle is better than a pen, right? There must be a comparison. And where you say maybe this one is bigger and this one you probably want to compare the importances of this to this. And that's how I think it to that. Right, now I think narrowing it down a team that wins this debate is a team that argues in proposition. And these are a few things like why they win. The biggest problem that lies in opposition is the notion you're actually debating this house supports public trials, not the rise, because the element that is on the rise. One, a few things I think like from Melissa's characterization, one thing that largely happens here, they tell you the problem that is in the motion or in the status quo, we have things like rise there, okay, with things like public trials being there. But then they tell you that the problem when you constantly have things like rise, they narrow down to things like online demonization or social media activism. This means people are most probably like exposing people to the public, stuff like that. A response, that's why you still, even in their third speech, they tell you, I think even somewhere it was in cross-examination, I think through the second speech, they tell you, even if someone is proven innocent and is set free, it does not remove the guarantee that this individual was tried or was exposed. Like maybe the sort of trauma, the victimization they most probably get from there. That is something that entirely you side you do not largely account for. But most importantly, that was on the idea of demonization one. They most probably tell you, on your side, where you have things like, where they already have shown you the rise is characterized by things like social media, they tell you the problem with that is that it deters like the impartiality of the judge, or it indirectly pushes like a judge to make specific decisions. That means it calls out the transparency that opposition teams you want to argue for. The only response that you give to that, and I don't credit in it, you say, the only response you have, you say, on our side, even if a judge takes a bribe, they must probably account for that sort of bribe. I do not get the mechanization or the justification of why I would most probably not credit to that kind of stuff. But then, also on that kind of regard, they go ahead and tell you, if you think that even on bribery you're trying to fight the things like corruption, there is like a lot of undercover corruption that happens in very many sectors. So this cannot be like the most efficient, way. But most importantly, they go ahead and tell you, here when it is in public where you have people like over 1,000, if we are to get back to the status quo, they tell you, judges are influenced by people's decisions, maybe what is posted on media, because on their side, the only issue I have with you guys is that you do not show me why then a status quo remains the better response. Still, even if you preserve the status quo, you most probably have to take victims to court. But you show at a point in time when it's that you have like a sitting of where you have like 7 people, maybe you have the trial judge, the accused, and or the victim and the defender, and then maybe like 3 victims. So you want to like evaluate the impact of that having like 3 people compared with having 1,000 people. Maybe here then now you most probably say here why like victimization is so like you do like a number of stakeholder analysis or impact analysis one. Like what gets happened here is quite simple one. The society itself like backlashes the witness because like they are betrayed, because people like here we are saying people like deter innocence. So you want to like go down and break down like how that innocence is deterred. So sometimes you don't always want to like try like very many plain ideas. What you do is that break it down, show how that it gets happiness. Like innocence is the third one. Even the people themselves even fear being witnesses because they don't want to be exposed to public stuff like that. Yeah, I think largely we talk about that. So the issue was, if you think that you put, if you support the rise on your side, you most probably want to show why you think that then people will fear doing crimes, because the idea why it was a contradiction, like either with your case, your argument is whether people are tried publicly or in courts, one, the innocence is still there. If the presumption of innocence is there, if someone is guilty, is still guilty. So you want to create a distinction why then we should buy into the public trust, the public trial over like the courtroom trials. You get. So at least when you have like 2 things like you're comparing, sure, even when the court system itself is there now, you are talking of things like bribery, then show the distinction that lies here on why you think then we have to forego this alternative to go. It's like where you have like you're joining A level, you need to offer like 2 combinations. like on a simple basis. You have PCM, you have PCM. So you most probably want to say that even if you perform with physics and biology, why do you think that when you say then you most probably prioritize biology over physics? So that's the distinction that was largely missing in your cases, and that the explanation that was like the missing logical gap, like try like to do a breakdown, most probably run like a number of things. And I think here you would most probably go in and and as a side speaker would most probably, because the problem that was here, like you tried repeating a number of things that were in speeches. That's why you said like at some point by side speeches I'm not writing. The issue is not that you're not speaking sense, but some material have already captured it in the first and second speeches. And that's how it's always like information is already captured. So what is the extensive analysis that you give credited, and why maybe you're trying to make like substantive reports, but then like break them, why you think there is no principle of fair judgment? Why do you think how does it like exist on their side, and how do you best achieve it on your side? So try like to do a bit of comparative and analysis. Yeah. So that's how you can summarize the round, unless there are any other questions. But best of luck in the outcomes. In position number 6. In position number 4, with 2 wins, average speaker points of 209.67 is the Team Canada. In top 3, now, in position 3, with 2 wins, average speaker points of 213.50 is the Team Brazil. Team Brazil. In second place, with 3 wins, average speaker points of 211.00, with a difference of 1 from the team breaking fast, is the Team Argentina. So this year's fast breaking team is a team with 3 wins, 9 ballots, 212.67 average speaker points, the Team Switzerland. Let's stand up. Okay. The draw for this
In room 3, quiet please. If you miss your drawers, don't ask again. In room 3, where I am going to be your chair, we are going to have Switzerland versus Morocco. Room 3, Switzerland in proposition, Morocco in opposition. In room 4, we are going to have Argentina in proposition, Qatar in opposition. Argentina pro, Qatar pro. Room 4, room 5 rather. Room 5, we shall have Brazil in proposition and England in opposition. In room 6, in room 6, we're going to have France in proposition and Canada in opposition. Chair for the first room will be I myself. Chair from the room with Argentina and Qatar will be Shanice, followed by Gift and Blessing. The next room with England and Brazil, we shall have Shadrach, Aaron, and Regan. And in the last room where we're having France and Canada, we shall have Brian as your chair. Let's move to the rooms. Guys, your motion for the quarterfinals is a prepared motion. You don't expect prep time. Get to your rooms right now. The rounds will start when the judges enter. Please move fast. Guys, immediately the round is done, please come back here. Not go anywhere else. So that's the release draws for semifinals immediately. Oh, wait. We are going to be convening in room 3, right? So, when your debates are done, move to room 3. For the teams that are broken,
break announcements. Should I start with poetry or public speaking? Poetry! Okay. So since I am in charge, I'm going to decide. Start with poetry. Yes, in order or in no particular order? No particular order. Okay, so in no particular order, the following speakers are making it to the finals of the poetry tracks. The first speaker making it to the finals is Burundi Bridget. The second speaker, the second poet. Let's clap for Bridget. Thank you. The second poet making it to the finals is Rumuma Rodball. Congratulations, Rodball. I can see I have butchered your name, but at least you're in the final. The third poet making it to the finals is none other than Namanya Tracy. Thank you, clap like you want. Thank you very much. Okay, how many speakers have I mentioned? So the people in the left, I do the one. The fourth poet making it to the final is none other than Kansi Merida. This final person, the rest were in no particular order, but this final person was the best poet in the semi-finals, so I chose to read her none other than Asari Magdalene. So let's move back to our room for our finals, that we're going to start immediately. Poetry, but before you go, you listen to the public speakers and also clap for them, and then you will go. Is that okay? Public speaking track. I use in the final. In no right? Adala Irene, congratulations, Adala Irene. Nanku Dakendra Ka, congratulations. Uwayesu Speracia, congratulations. Adala John Bosco. The two Adalas are very going together. Eh? Congratulations. And now this particular speaker. Now the task for semi-finals was for this particular speaker to advocate for Okello Yabdu to be killed. So this speaker is the only one who was close enough to convincing me not to issue a death sentence after killing children. And that's none other than Asimide Prayer. Congratulations on the job well done. So for the finalists, so I have been unfair all throughout the tournament to the extent that I'll pick people to speak at random. But now, out of the kindness of my heart, I'm choosing to create ballots and let it be by chance, whether you're speaking first or you're speaking last. So, poetry, you'll come here, pick a ballot, and then leave my ballots here. We're going to make ballots for both tracks, both poetry and public speaking. Poetry, you pick your ballot and get your speaking order and move to the room where your final is happening, as well as the people in public speaking. You also come, step forward, pick your ballots, and from that point, it will determine whether or not you're speaking first or last, right? Okay, so thank you very much to all the finalists. Congratulations on making it this far. I do pray that you do a good job, and the best of you should most definitely win. Okay, so poets, let's stand up. I've not said come, I've said stand up. So poets, let's stand up. Okay. And the balance for poetry. Okay. Now, as you're working on public speaking balance, I'm going to invite the poets to come and select their speaking order at random. Okay? You come. You may stay there and they pick everything except one, and you did not want to speak fast, you find yourself speaking fast anyway. You finish. And show me, open and show me, open and show me, open and show me. Okay, who is number one? Who is number one? Who is number one? Okay, Yedem? Yeah. Rockport is number one. Number two, Yedem. Bridget is number two. Number three, Yedem. Chesty is number three. Number four, Rizar is number four. Marjorie, and finally Marjorie will speak number five. Okay, so those were the points. Public speakers, you have to stand up. After registering, here you go. I know that thing. Public speakers, you come here. You come here. All the public speakers that are in the final, again, a huge congratulations on the job well done. And finally, the final is the prepared speech, and as such, we expect a very beautiful speeches from your end. But then, most importantly, it is our prayer that the best speaker wins, right? And now my bad manners have stopped. I will not force you to speak fast when you do not want. My bad manners have stopped. And you know, when you're in the final, you need to be respected. So I'm choosing to respect the finals. Okay. Let's write here finals. Yeah, it's on national television. Where are you going? Can you write from here? You don't have a pen? She has a pen. Who's number one? Agara? Agara JB is number one. Who is number two? Uwayezu Spiracia. Is that the correct pronunciation? Spiracia is number two. Number three, Promise. Precious, sorry. Asimira Precious is number three. Precious is number three. Number four, Agala. Irene is number four. No, you're staying here. We are doing our finals from here. And finally, number five is Kelly Dry. Okay, so for the purposes, so for the benefit of our viewers, I'm going to read the task prompt for the finals. The task prompt for the finals for this year's Chigezi tournament, Chigezi Regional Championship, is this. Okay. Finals task. Cortex slide. Cortex slide. Okay, you have 3 minutes of speech. You can start whenever you're ready.
Before I start, I want to make a shout out. I want to make a shout out at my judge, my trainer, and my school for this great opportunity given to me.
Yes, when you say judge, you should have clapped. Thank you very much.
Yes. Okay. The new way, ahakuba, oliwe. And because you are, this is the spirit of Ubuntu. Imagine a village where neighbors share food, help one another, duly catch, and celebrate success together. Today, however, technology sometimes encourages isolation, selfishness, and division. As a result, the spirit of Ubuntu appears to the public. Yet, technology can also revive Ubuntu if used ethically. During times of crisis, digital platforms connect communities, support fundraising for the needy, and spread educational opportunities to remote areas. Ethical algorithmic can promote truthful information, encourage cooperation, and perceive African culture and language. Technology should not only make us smarter, it should make us more compassionate. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, Africa does not need to choose between traditional and innovation. No, we can have both. By designing and in this digital age, let us ensure that as technology advances, our humanity advances with it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you for that fine speech. Thank you for that fine speech. I'm going to invite the second speaker to come and take to the stage. I'm going to request that you introduce yourself and your school just for the purposes of our viewers, and we can start from there. Right? Okay. You can start whenever you're ready. All the best.
People killing, people dying, children hiding, hear them crying. Can you practice what you preach? Or would you turn the other cheek? Father, 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 help us, send some guidance from above. People got me questioning, where is the love? Where is the love? Where is the love that was practiced by our forefathers? Where is the love that a neighbor manifested when you went to him saying that, hey, today I did not eat, today I did not get what to drink? Where is that love? Because I no longer see it. We are all humans, all right? But where is the humanity? Where is the Ubuntu that existed? Tell me. My 30-year-old brother has been jobless for 5 years now. He is supposed to be leading his own family, but right now he is out there jobless because he lacks no one to help him. My dad, that has battled diabetes for over years right now, has failed to stay in Mulago because of the poor services. Not only that, but because the land suffers, because he cannot afford it anymore. Where is the love that used to exist within relatives? Where is the love that used to exist between friends? Where are those friends? Where is that family? There are people out there. But it seemed the word Ubuntu was really erased from the words that used to be spoken. My name is Wael Sperantia. I offer BCM. But as a BCM scholar, I swear I go through a lot of challenges. And those challenges, if there was some student out there, maybe from Nigeria, that faces the same challenges to talk to, maybe I will pick myself together. That's why we need social media. We need social media to bring that love back, that Ubuntu, that spirit. Where a farmer from Nigeria will talk to a farmer in Uganda and say, hey, we need maize beside. What's the price? Come and sell to us so that our Africa will develop. That is the Africa we are looking for. Technology should not let our Africa fail. Should not let the spirit that used to exist stop. It should keep it moving. It should develop it. That is the love I'm talking about, the spirit of Ubuntu. We develop together. A student picks himself up together because there is a fellow. They become strong together. That's the Ubuntu I am talking about. Because I am, because you are. Thank you so much.
for that fine speech. Thank you, Spiracia, for that fine speech. We're going to have Asimir Precious as the next speaker in the finals. Yeah, yeah.
Well, my name is Asimir Precious from Immaculate Heart Girls School. Before I begin my speech, I want to thank God because I am a finalist. I begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. Globalization has given us a global village, but it has not given us a global community. It has connected our machines, but it's connected our souls. As a Pan-Africanist, a proud Ugandan, today I come to NCD Uganda to talk about Ubuntu. For generations, Africa was defined because of a simple truth, and that is Ubuntu. Ubuntu lifestyle was woven in the everyday life. Neighbors knew each other, shared resources, and supported each other. Children were not only raised by their own parents, but the entire community. Our societies survived drought and built communities not through the power of societies individually, but also the unbreakable code of human interdependence. Solidarity was our social security, and empathy was our courage. But where are we now? One of the aspects that Ubuntu held was forgiveness. When conflicts arose, communities sought for peace, solution rather than creating divisions. The goal was to maintain harmony, because peace understood that the well-being of one person affected another. Ladies and gentlemen, a silent revolution has entered our pockets to the technological transfer. In the purpose of individualism, people no longer know the crucial reason as why they are important to each other. They forget that the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself important to others. Technological transfer is one of the basics necessary in the digital world. Technology is one of the key basics necessary in the digital world, but the most necessary thing about it is how we use it. Technology can support our communities through digital marketplaces that connect our local producers with our consumers. From the biased data to corrective world, AI is from the data we feed it. If we train technology only on capitalism, it will produce capitalism. If we train it on individualism, it will connect individualism. We must eject Ubuntu into the very architecture of our digital future through the shift from attention to community, demand and design algorithms, program for the connected future. Online platforms, when designed with ethics in mind, can foster collaboration rather than dividing when human values guide technology, and ensure that the digital age, Ubuntu, is not lost but it is strengthened. Build digital bridges that bring us together. Let us write algorithms that will see the humanity in the user and value the collective over the cliff and the measures of success. Ladies and gentlemen, build digital bridges that bring us together. Africa will not only just get up to the technological world, but we shall be able to humanize it. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for that fine speech. Can we have the fourth speaker? You have 3 minutes of speech. You can start.
First of all, I want to send shout out to my teacher, Mr. Christopher Mande, and my patron, Mr. Kit Ayewale, for never giving up on me. I begin my speech in 3, 2, and 1. Pan-Africanists in the room, shout out to you. Today I open my mouth, not that I am a Pan-Africanist, Jack, but because I am human. Every man for himself and God for us all has refreshed. I am because we are. Before we got digital, there is humanity that we bear. There is blood flowing within our veins. With the technology that we now praise, with the technology that consumes most of our time, we must create room for interaction with humanity. Because if we don't, national unity, conflict resolution, community work, and sustainable development will fade. It is fine we can use the technology we love to still maintain humanity. Are we willing to build technology that reflects our highest human values? Or want to continue to disintegrate in urban areas with so much disconnection and digital isolation? It is only in the villages that it still holds some value. What is wrong when we go ahead with mobile money crowdfunding for all people in different spaces to contribute to a certain function? Why did the lab to solicit funds for the sick to go extreme surgeries abroad go? Whether you are rich or not, what matters is your contribution. Step by step, how one faces a crisis, then neighbors fundraise resources, and then the risk is distributed. Let us use the technology to strengthen human relations and cooperate effectively, because technology is borderless and more effective. For you, me, to live, we need each other. Biology tells us about dependency of mind. English will tell you that two heads are better than one. And I will tell you that I need human intervention for perfect functioning. Have you ever imagined a world where you are the only one living, surrounded by wild animals, water, forests, and wind? How many hours would you spend alive? We might be proud of everything that we possess, but without each other, no one would exist. We live in a world where no situation is permanent. We need someone who can sit for us.
Okay, thank you very much for that fine speech. This brings us to the end of the public speaking finals. May the best speaker win. I'll invite, I think. Oh, okay.
to
Do we agree to that? I think I should just elaborate for you.
No, porque assim, assim, com a acho que eles gostam de gente.
I'm calling Namanya Testing, and I'm so glad that I've got a new friend. He's called Tade. And the fact that we share the same letter T, that means the body. So I'm so glad to be part of this tournament. I'm so excited about the new faces that I'm seeing. Thank you for coming and being part of this tournament. Yeah, I've learned, specifically I was a poetess, and I've learned very new and interesting things, especially from my fellow poetesses and our class. So I thank God for this opportunity next week. And she was warning me that I should not choose her friend, but I will.
Okay, the bird is tight. Okay, opportunity to come. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into the finale. Something maybe most of us have been waiting for. Where the schools that were in the semifinals? Room 3, room 4. Are we all here? Hello, are we all here? Okay.
So I'm just going to proceed forward with announcing the teams that are making to the finals. I just hope I remember them well in my head. Okay, in the first finals that we had, I think Trinity in the proposition team. That's right. Yeah, we had Trinity in proposition team, and then we had St. Mary's, which was in the opposition team. On a unanimous decision of 3-0, the team proceeding to the finals is the team that debated the opposition side. Please come forward, the entire team. And in room 2, where we had both immaculate heart teams, also on a consensus of 3-0, the team proceeding to the finals is the team that debated in the opposition team. Kindly step forward. You guys know the team that debated in the opposition? I need the entire team here. Okay, in the finals we shall be having Immaculate Heart, Girls School in the proposition team, and in the negative team we shall be having St. Mary's Rosa. So we are going to have lunch just before the finals, but this is what is going to happen. The finalists are going to serve first, and then everyone else will serve after them. Right? So let's try to make it quick so that we are back here for the finals and the awarding ceremony immediately after we are done with that.
Finalists, you're going to get food first, and you only have 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, we shall start with or without you. So you're getting food first. Our lunch is going to be the dining. Judges.
Opposition is the same motion we are having. Brian will be your timekeeper, he can give you timestamps and how it's going to time you.
Alright, so we're using 433. When your first minute is done, I'll tap my bell once. Okay. You guys are able to listen to that. So when your first minute is done, I'll tap once. And also when you're approaching your last minute, I'll also tap once. When your time is done, I'm just going to tap repeatedly until you leave the stage. So let's keep time. And may the best team win. First proposition.
Okay. So shout outs to my staff board for being us this far, and thank my coach, my patron, and my participants. So I begin this debate in 3, 2, and 1. In a debate, at a point in time where a new idea is introduced, this initially means that status quo has not worked, or status quo has proved to be inefficient. Therefore, what then exists in status quo? We see in status quo only elections is what exists. Why we think that is not enough is because they only happen after 5 times. The impact of this other bad thing about this is that leaders can always choose to become accountable towards the evenings of that 5-year long term. Then they can always also go back into power by bribing these voters. Because these voters are poor, and maybe because they have suffered due to things like poor service delivery, then they opt in to buy it and vote them more. The impact of them becomes problematic, which is that we see that we continuously vote new leaders over and over and over again, but the changes are not seen. So therefore, the burden on either side of the house is to prove where efficient leadership is then achieved. So, on a bit of characterization, I think we need to understand how these scorecards will necessarily work. So these scorecards will be indicators of one, quantitative, and secondly, qualitative index. This necessarily means that you as a leader, if you come and tell us that I did these 5 roads, therefore I think I worked for my people, but would not only measure your work based on this, but also on how good your services have been, on how good your services have been. On the scorecards, we shall have things such as fairly good, bad, or maybe insufficient. The relevance of this then becomes feasibility of the scorecards. The necessity of this is to show you that these scorecards prove to be more efficient than the kind of policy or the kind of idea that exists on team opposition. Then, I think we need to understand more about the barazas. So the barazas involve local leaders and they are chaired by the office of the Prime Minister. Where local leaders are first, where the people are first civically educated on the kinds of, on the way how to measure the kinds of actions or the kinds of, or on the kinds of services these leaders in power necessarily give them. So leaders then give accountability. You come and stand in front of the people. You tell them, the government gave me this kind of amount of money and I was able to do this. So from the side of the house, they may tell us maybe ideas like populism then exists because people want to maybe convince people so that they buy into their rhetoric, and then so that people may always give them high scorecards at the end of the day. So I think the idea of populism then does not exist on our sides. How? Citizens are the ones who are directly suffering these problems, meaning they directly see what they are suffering from. From our side of the house, we show you that this is where rhetoric meets action. Your ability to give a good speech in front of people is not enough, but also service delivery is one of the things that we saw from that side of the house. The relevance of this is to show you that people actually know what is taking place. Then, on the idea of democracy, we think that democracy is still then also achieved from that side of the house. Why? Because people are the ones participating. And it is exclusively beneficial on our side. Why? Because the benefits and the repercussions are then sweeter because we see better service delivery by these individuals. Then, what happened on their side of the house is to show us, one, how they achieve better service delivery, and secondly, how efficient leadership is achieved despite the fact that status quo of voting leaders has failed. Then, people are rational, they are civically equipped. They are rich on understanding that leaders now come into power to maybe gain a lot of money, whereby they know I can only sit in the parliament, then at the end of the day I have 20 million. But here, leaders determine, the people determine the kinds of salaries that you're going to achieve. So, that's what it is.
You said citizens are rational. Yeah?
Yes.
So can they be bribed?
I think I told you that rational means you actually knowing what you're doing.
But it is the citizens that credit these leaders. Yeah?
Pardon?
It is the citizens that credit the leaders.
Yes.
Don't you think they can maybe bribe them?
So leaders now score you according to the tangible actions, or the tangible products, or the tangible services They can see.
But you believe people are rational?
Yes, because they are civically educated.
So after how long will you be scoring these local leaders?
So these barazas will happen every after a month because we believe that the government is able to give these people money every after a month.
Don't you think it is going to involve a lot of expenses to this government because school workers can't just exist? Yeah?
School workers is plain paper, so I don't understand how plain paper then becomes an economic burden on the side of government.
So papers are not plain, they are natural resources.
Paper is in abundance.
First, thank all of you for making it to this tournament, and then a little bit of shout outs. I'll first send shout out to myself because I've made it to the finals and in my last tournament in secondary school, so I'm really proud of myself. But then also secondly, I'll send shout outs to a member of our second team, that is Martha, because this has been her first tournament, and I believe, yeah, there's talent in her. Okay, so my speech will begin in 3, 2, 1. Okay, Chair, notice the biggest assertion we get from the opposition side of the House is to largely assert the rational nature of these individuals and the decisions they do make. First, I think we all need to understand the nature of elections and how they do look like. I think at the point in time it is existent in status quo, that voters are always right to vote for people. Even when people have not constructed laws, they still have the ability to go and tell you on radio, you have constructed laws. Because what you need as a person, because you are poor, you just need the matchbox you need. Maybe you need things like maybe soil and things of that resort. That is what was left them. So they don't never allocate money to the district. It means you are never going to be voted for as somebody is good. These are things that people on their side of the house do not know. Outside of the house, we bring people who know the dynamics of politics. They know what money somebody is allocated to, and they know that the reason why somebody fails. Simple analogy. I think it is largely true that if they say the audience to vote for the winners, we are most likely going to win the debate because I have very many friends at Show Vision, all very many participants from St. Mary's College Sholosa. Their side never going to win because we never have friends. But outside of the house, when you think this separate committee, make the judges determine the winner from what we are presenting. It becomes better on our side of the house. I will go on to the biggest things. I will go on to at the end of it all what we aim at. One, transparency, accessibility, and project cooperation. I think somebody is more incentivized to do pool when he likely knows that there are people who are following me down that I do not know. Most likely I have to complete this note. They will publish it in the newspaper, and people know that they have done good. Still people get to vote for you. On the other side of the house, what happens is, because somebody knows that if I give people 100 million to vote for me, it's likely the next month I'll earn 1 billion. He has no reason why he fails to lose 100 million for it and 1 billion. So it becomes problematic on the outside of the house. How we engage transparency. I think it is more transparency when maybe people are experienced and understand the general dynamics of politics and things that people can never control in those kinds of circumstances. It actually means that maybe you get better transparency. Because if somebody constructs a road and you see, you must likely credit him. But also you credit the people who live in such kind of situations of opposition. There is maybe a reason that maybe because I'm in opposition, government never gives me the funds. That means people will never say I am working. They never understand such kind of dynamics. They may slightly backlash me and maybe say I'm a parent. They never understand such kinds of things that become problematic at the end of the day. But then first the second is on the idea of where people lose interest in such kind of balance because they are never effective, just that they not interest in the election. Thank you.
Okay. Speaker, do you believe that MPs are currently audited? Do you know that these audits actually happen in status quo?
I think the audits that happen are not secret, but we introduce on our side of the house. We make people audited secretly. That means they do not have the ability to collapse such kind of individuals.
What then makes your secret audit stand out?
I think because you never know the people assessing, you never corrupt them. On your side, you corrupt individuals, but then also secondly, still people with money get to survive in your society.
Since they are separate, don't you think they will also be corrupted? Guarantee that they will also not be corrupted.
I think there's no way I will corrupt Janice, yet I don't know that she's judging me. The problem is, when I know Melissa is watching, I most likely give her sweet such that she says I've won.
So Chair, in tonight's motion, realize that we are not here to prove why this policy is good or not, but how it is actually going to cause change in both worlds. Chair, we show you that the case problem in tonight's motion, local governance has been broken because of the poor qualities of these elected leaders. Now, these ties basically we showed you mean that the local leaders would have part of their salary allowance also determined by the scores given by citizens through formal accountability investments. Chair, in their world they tell us things. In their world they tell us things like the nature of these elections. People are always bribed. Then their main whole issue, they argue on things like paper. Paper has actually become an issue in tonight's resolution. We're clearly showing you that we're clearly showing in our world, Chair. We're clearly showing you in our world, Chair, that we have put up a fundamental body that is actually going to conduct this audit. These are part of the people. This body is part of the citizens, not their secret audits they're talking about. They vote for things like elect these leaders, put them into power, but the evaluation of their work should be done by separate audits, Chair, and the kind of these people cannot be corrupted. What is the efficiency, or what is the quality of these, the guarantee that these separate audits cannot be corrupted? Chair, we try to prove to you, we were showing that currently in status quo, these elections are infrequent and have often failed to punish poor performing leaders in their terms of service. Now why? Why are we imposing these tight scorecards on them? One, we want to achieve accountability. This is how leaders explain the action and how they have used public projects. Continuous accountability, Chair, improves governance. A local leader can neglect duty, Chair, and remain in office and keep earning their income till the next election. That is why, Chair, that is why accountability is necessary. We also brought you things like service delivery. How leaders make overdrafts. These ties pay directly to measurable public service delivery. And what? They evaluation because citizens see performance clearly. See how these leaders are actually taking on the different funds that have been aligned to them by the government. They come and raise things like corruption, like sheer levels of corruption. Share. This level of time actually incentivizes the embezzlement or impunity by penalizing leaders who neglect communal work. So, meaning shares of corruption they claim for in our world do not exist. They rule out of that. Yeah, we also show you that why the pay and not others, because the constant receiving of low score actually brings bad reputation. As much as you are a politician. In an instance where citizens find out that you are actually corrupt, that you are actually not delivering, meaning the next election they will have more oversight of the leaders they actually want to put into power. Chair, we actually show you that because of these tight scores on the remuneration of the candidates, this is going to improve personal value. This is going to have value attached to the work of these local leaders. Chair. Thank you.
What is the difference between your model and an election? there a difference between your model and an election?
Yes.
What is it?
I showed you our model. Keep hearing. Because of this election, we are setting up, yes, there has been bribery in election. But now that we have already put these leaders, we have realized the problem. That is why we are opting for ties, so there is accountability. And in the next election, the same problem cannot be repeated again.
Why do you think people are bribed during elections?
Pardon?
Why do you think people are bribed during elections?
Personal interest.
Okay, so don't you think those personal interests still exist on your side of the house?
No, they do not.
I hope civic education exists. Does it?
Yes, it does.
Okay, so still you continue with civic education and still people vote the wrong person.
Is that a question or a statement?
Okay, so have people won elections yet they have done nothing in previous years? Okay, so let's assume we say yes.
I begin my speech in 3, 2, and 1. A nice question asked to the team proposition. What is the difference between their model and an election? The only difference between their model and an actual election is that theirs happens every month. That's the only difference that happens on the side of the house. They still get to use paper, sensitize people, civic education, and things of that resort. It means it's most likely liable to the same problems elections get to face. Rigging, bribery, and things of that resort, because the same personal gains, the same personal interests still happen on the side of the house, because this particular leaders need good scores, they need to go back to office, and things of that resort. So there is no direct change that then gets to happen on the side of the house. Our side is quite simple. We tell you, we get to use unknown people, secret local people that actually know whether you've been accessible, whether you've been doing work, whether you've been completing projects and things of that resort. It means these kinds of individuals follow you up and then they get to tell us what happens. They get to score you depending on that. Why is this necessarily going to be authentic? This is authentic because these kinds of people, you do not know who is looking for you, do not know who is following you up. It means most likely the percentage the score you're going to get is going to affect your salary directly. This actually means that you need to get your salary as a whole. You need to get a lot of, like maybe the assets and all those things, that the benefits that you get out of being a very good leader. It means you'd want to get them all. And because you do not know who is scoring you, you most likely do the very most necessary thing in order to be able to get them, because you did not know who is going to score you. This promotes like direct transparency and accountability. And at the end of the day, we think that gets to be better on the side of the house. So it rules out the idea of corruption and bribery, because these leaders do not actually know who is actually scoring them. Okay, even if it was possible, we think on comparative. The level of corruption is like more on their side because of two things. One, likelihood, because we tell you these are secret people, there are low chances you're going to know them. Secondly, on magnitude, we tell you on the side of the house there is more corruption because there are magnitudes of people. You're going to bribe them to be able to get good scores. On the side of the house, you don't get to actually bribe people because they're not there. You don't know them. Now, the side of the house, we think for scorecards to be like credible, citizens must most likely all buy into that idea. This shows you that already in elections, not all people actually vote. There is no guarantee that everyone is going to show up for scorecards if they do not actually believe in ideas of choosing leaders or maybe scoring them. That necessarily shows you that credibility of these cards is like really less, so it is really unfair for local leaders at that point because they get a score that does not actually correspond to all the people or the kind of change they actually cause. What does that show you? There's less credibility, and therefore it's a policy we should not actually go with. Second, on the cost that is involved, we tell you, notice how our country already spends like so much money on elections. The idea is to tell us that because MPs want salaries monthly, you then get to score them monthly. That shows you need a lot of money for scorecards. They tell us paper is in abundance. We tell you if paper is in abundance, why do elections take up a lot of money? That shows you so much money is necessarily going to again go up for this scorecard. What does that tell us? So much cost is involved, and therefore the impact is really less already, and we show you a lot of money is going to go in that regard. That already shows you that is something that is going to fail out. We tell you, they tell us people are rational. We again tell you people can always be influenced. We tell you these are people of low income statuses. They tell you these are people that are going to we tell you these are people that are necessarily going to follow on things that necessarily help them at that particular point. If you give someone 20K today, they'll not necessarily care about the road you've actually built because they've gotten money for survival of that particular kind of day. That shows you that people are necessarily going to go on the benefits of a particular time, so they can always be influenced, they're rational, and therefore they can always be bribed, and their scorecards can always be a problem. On the side of the house, we get to solve all these particular kinds of problems within that specific kind of time, and we get better benefits. Ready for cross-examination.
So the new kind of model you present to us is secret audits, right?
Yes.
So who does these secret audits?
Local people that you choose. Not you, the person chooses, because if government is unreliable to pay you salaries, what is reliable to pay you salaries then gets to choose the kinds of people to actually use.
So if I'm to get it right, audits means someone evaluates what you've done. So how is that different from the kind of policy we present to you today?
Pardon?
Audits is evaluating what someone has done. So how is your policy necessarily different from the policy we present for you today?
Yours is public, you involve everyone, and everyone knows what's happening. They can be bribed. On the side of the house, you don't even know who is doing whatever they are doing. It's like us asking you who chooses people who do whistleblowing. You can't know them because you do not know what happened.
In status quo audits occur. Who does this? How is this different from your side of the house?
In public, in the current kinds of audits that are there, they are for financial things, your assets and everything, they are formal. On the side of the house, they are for specifically what you have done. Like, are you accessible to your people? The local people are the ones involved. What happens currently is that it is national, you're an MP and things of that resort.
Before I begin my speech, I shout out to my coaches, I shout out to my patrons, we thank you so much. Shout out to the other team, because you have helped us so much. Shout out to my teammates, and most importantly, shout out to my father, my dad. Okay, I begin my... I begin my speech in 3, 2, 1. The reason as to why this debate is happening is to get effective leadership at the end of the day. The team that best proves that then stands to raise the one who wins this debate. What team opposition brings to us is the secret audits. But we necessarily don't think this will work according to the way I'm going to weigh my debate. We then bring to you the ties on these people. Now, reasons as to why we don't think these secret audits will work. This is because of things like corruption and bribery, which they don't actually necessarily prove to us that won't happen. In cases where you don't know who is auditing you, then we therefore think it is very much easier for these people to be corrupt or for these things to be corrupt at the end of the day. There is no guarantee or scores that these audits will actually work at the end of the day. We asked them a question that audits is when maybe something is going to be evaluated. And then the question led to, don't you think it is the same to what we are doing, which they didn't necessarily answer. Now, for things like, for situations where people are the ones scoring you and people are the ones voting into power, we then think that it is then justified for them and it will work the best. Why do we then think that? The people are the ones who vote these people into power to either cause change or to cause change or to retain someone in power. In cases where we have these ties, we then think that it will be more efficient or more effective at the end of the day. Now, something that we get on team negative side is things like we think that it is very expensive to have these things like they think that it's very expensive for paper, which was an issue, and we don't really necessarily see why it was an issue in this debate. In cases where it is even intended for proposition to not to show that, we don't think it is necessary. But let us literally give them a basis of today's argument. We then think that it is very beneficial to us because things that they talk about things like paper being expensive, but we don't think it is really necessary. We already have the expenses in today's debate. What then we win on is effective leadership, because these people are the ones who are going to be scoring our leaders. And then what they lose out on today's debate is that they don't show us a guarantee that bribery and corruption will not happen in their side of the world, which is a very big problem to their side of the case. And okay. Okay. Then we think that secret audits will not necessarily work, and we are waiting for that claim, and they are.
My speech begins in 3, 2, 1. Cha. In circumstances where Anita Among was elected by the people in Uganda, and at the end of the day, audits identified her as corrupt, we think at the end of the day, there is this kind of effectiveness that then gets to exist on our side of the house. Three things. Firstly, is on framing. We come and show you the nature of secret audits that are then going to work at the end of the day. We tell you these are people who are going to be secret. That is to say that the person who is contesting or the person who is a leader then does not know who then examines them at the end of the day. It means that there is no guarantee that things like bribery are then going to exist. But second level is that we tell you we think these are the people that would then do things like interviews or that came from framing. So we don't get an engagement, we only get it in third speech where they tell us that at the end of the day it is not going to be effective enough or it's going to bring about things like corruption. Already we showed you how that then does not work out because of the clear evidence, how it is true and how it is important at the end of the debate. Second framing is on the nature of the people. We tell you, we think this country is made up of people who are irrational. At the end of the day, they still lie below the poverty line. So it means that if you come and give me 20,000 and I do not have salt in my home, it then does not incentivize me to see whether you have constructed a road or not, right? So it means that at the end of the day, things like bribery then continuously exist. Notice, this is very important because at the end of the day, things like their model, they will not work now. That drives me from their second speech where they ask us that the debate is maybe not on whether or not we should maybe buy into this model or on how effective it's going to be at the end of the day. Already we show you there is no effectiveness of something that like largely does not exist. So it means we have to first evaluate this kind of model and then see the effectiveness at the end of the day. Now, largely, how we achieve effectiveness at the end of the day is that our side of the house now looks into secrecy. That is to say, you're doing your activities, but you do not know the person who is like examining you. It means that you will have to be effective enough because at the end of the day, if they give you a bad judgment, it does not account for on you because you are not going to do things like bribery, you're not going to do things like maybe evaluating these very individuals because even in the first place, you don't know them. How it does not get to happen on their side of the house is that you're directly involving these citizens, right? It means that, of course, from the nature of them as poor, it means they will like largely accept your sums of money, and at the end of the day, effectiveness like largely does not get to happen. Now, secondly is on transparency. We think at the end of the day, our side then best achieves transparency because at a point in time when you're looking at how best these very individuals are bringing about the service delivery, it means it is then more on our side of the house than what then gets to exist on their side of the house. Now, they ask us three things. Firstly, whether corruption is then going to exist on our side of the house. We show how it is not going to work. But secondly, how our model is then more effective than their model. And thirdly, how audits then, even if they exist in status quo, ours then still work because they are like in secrecy compared to like what exists as per status quo. Now on their side, they tell us they achieve things like democracy. Already we show how democracy achieves on our side of the house. Because if you actually voted for as a good leader, then democracy is present.
All right, thank you so much for that lovely final. The judges will step out for a deliberation and come up with their verdict.
Minutes to listen to a certain, I don't know how to explain it, something so big, but these are just dreamers that are making it easier for us, especially the students, when we are at school. How many of us have lost money at school? Have lost money? Okay, now we are trying to solve that problem, so let's put our hands together and welcome a team from Simbi for just 2 minutes to talk to us. And after that, we shall get into the awarding. Let's give them a round of applause.
Thank you, madam. And all protocol observed. I'm called Emma. I'm Emmanuel Sasira. I'm the business development manager for Simbi Microfinance. I've been in the banking sector for the past 10 years. And 3 of these I was at Equity Bank. I was the supervisor for payments and channels. So I have enough experience in digitization. I want to thank the team from NDC for granting this opportunity to speak to you. And I would like to introduce my colleagues. He's also called Emma Akampa. He's our grade officer. And we have Carol Mutoni. Carol, you can meet people. She's our peer. And without wasting time, the reason why we are here, we are not in the wrong place. I know that the date is not related with what we are going to speak, but currently we have a product which we have rolled out and it is working in all schools. And luckily, KABALE Secondary, we have already started registering students. So our product is called Upkeep, and you can look at the card. Madam was telling you, this is a digital card. It is a prepaid electronic Upkeep card. This card is replacing the pocket money, the physical cash that you have been using. I think you heard Madam mentioning about losing money. We realized that most students were losing money in the dormitory. So we came out with this card. So what we do, we bring a smartphone which has QR code, and we put it at the canteen, and we do register every student, and every student receives this card, and instead of carrying a lot of cash, you will be presenting this card at the canteen to buy things, to buy items, to buy bread, to buy donuts, to buy soda. I'm seeing members from Immaculate, because recently I visited that school and I realized they have already started this thing, so it is not new to them. But other schools which have not started this, we are also coming to register you. So this is a very good thing because it helps you in saving, because it means when you have not gone to the canteen, your money is saved. It keeps your money safe. Nobody will not know how much money you are having. Then it also promotes digitization, because by the time you finish high school, you will know that there are cards, there are ATM cards, so you will not be lost in the world of digitization. So without wasting time, I'm kind of requesting to stop from here, and I wish you the best of the debate. Thank you for giving us this opportunity.
Hi everyone. Let's first stand up. Let's all stand up. Let's stretch a little bit because we have over. Let's stretch. Stretch. Weighted activity. Is that okay? Is that okay? Why are we a bit not happy? We are under pressure, eh? The pressure is high. Eh? Is it increasing or decreasing? Okay, let's take this juncture to invite Mr. Cohen to come and give us a word.
Thank you very much, the tournament director. It's becoming hard for me to observe protocol here. Allow me just do it this way. We have a representative of the executive director, Kick Corruption out of Uganda. present with us. We are grateful. To our dearest patrons and coaches or teachers, I want us to put a hand. It's never easy to host very many visitors at the same time, but they have done their very best. And we want to thank you so much. Our kindest appreciation to the head teacher and administration for allowing us to come, even when you had other commitments. We know it's not just about hosting, but it's because you love young people and you want to give them the space. I'm also proud to say that amidst us we have some of our alumni. NDC began in 2009, and it's the oldest debate education program and entity in Uganda. And through that, we've had a number of people go through this program. Some of them, the closest could be Honorable Gerard Karhanga. We know him? Some of us come from Toroko. Anyone comes from Toroko? The former Western Youth MP, Honorable Edson Rugumayo. We've had Honorable Jacob Beyeru, the former National Youth Chairperson. Very many people and very important. But for Chigezi, we are also happy because we have alumni amidst us. So if you are alumni, please, our request for this time, you just stand up. You are no longer schooling, but you have been through this program. Just stand up. You've been through NSDC programs. Please, I am seeing you. I am seeing you. Okay, some judges don't want to stand up. But amidst them are very important people, social workers. I've also seen Godwin here. Honorable Godwin. I was a former student at St. Mary's College, Rushoroza. I remember him a very small boy. But we are glad to see that he has been doing wonders in Chigezi, and that's the power of debate. And lastly, I want to welcome the debaters. We are doing this because we didn't have an opening ceremony, so you'll forgive us, but it's going to be short. So let's welcome each other with a hand clap. When you're bidding farewell, we shall also ask that you clap yourselves. Congratulations to everyone that made it to this platform. This is our first regional qualifier for this year. We had a postponement of Kampala Metropolitan and Greater Masaka region due to the Ebola threat, and we will be getting back to them later. This marks the first or the maiden regional qualifier. You guys are very lucky. We have started in Chigezi, full of blessings. Next weekend we'll be going to Karamoja and then Teso. The following weekend it will be Lango, Acholi, Mukono, and then Aroa, Madi, until we finish 18 sub-regions. So this is just the start. This year's theme, I am just gifting someone who tells me loudly and clear this year's theme. Please, who is there? Yes, please come. Be quick, be quick. We have a mic. That mic works. Be quick. The theme, some people are still scratching. They are looking for their notes. You don't know it off head? Please say it as it is.
An algorithmic edge, safety, transparency, and accountability.
She's right? Yeah, she's not right. Who are you?
What's your name? Hey, Ankunda Susan. Please, check out with me for your gift immediately I leave this stage. Thank you so much. Hey, you want to see the gift? Yeah. You didn't want it. Why do you want to know? Okay. So we are talking about technology because we are in a technology era, but also we are talking about responsibility, we are talking about safety, we are talking about transparency and accountability. It is important for us as young people to know, while in this age, it requires all these aspects. It doesn't excite us for you to be a tech hack, a tech geek, and then tomorrow we find you in prison because of irresponsible use of technology. How do we consciously use technology to even foster and solve some of the biggest challenges that we are facing? We have one of our alumni, Janice Inkaja, who has, through technology, Leona is also part of that program. She has, out of knowledge of coding, created a platform that is aimed at improving accountability and transparency. It's a good space, using technology, but making sure that issues to do with governance, things about corruption are dealt with. So it's not about TikTok. Even when you're on TikTok, instead of doing that smiley, you're looking at yourself and then you post, maybe the next time you'll be like, let me talk about this very important matter. We'll be glad to record freely and post or share some of your messages. If you say, I am here, we would record and have that message go out about the theme. All right? Second last, we won't take long. We want to say that for schools that have come here very soon, we'll send you letters for qualification. As we say, this is a qualifier. The national championship will be happening in December. We are praying the threat of Ebola calms down so it doesn't affect us. We'll be making those announcements very soon. But as you know, we have two programs that happen almost in the same time. The Uganda Debate and Speech Champions League and the National Speech and Debate Championship. So, we are praying that since this is Chisanja what? No more sleep, and the president has committed, the program that we run for Champions League is fully supported by the State House Anti-Corruption Unit. We are hopeful that that program will come back. I know last year we missed, it was quite sad. The regional winner here should have gone to debate as part of the guest schools. So that will be happening and we'll be making all those announcements. So I want to congratulate you. At Nationals, here we've just done a few events, debate, public speaking, storytelling, and poetry. But you know that at Nationals, we have now expanded, or we expand to news, anchoring, and also have quiz this time, and then creative dance, okay? So please, from here, don't chill. Don't what? Chill. Keep your shoes on, rehearse, and prepare for the bigger stage in December. We are also praying and hopeful that maybe, if all goes well, none of us have been to Parliament through our programs. I remember Lucy here, she was in the office of the president when she was in primary 7. She was still in primary. So some of us, the likes of Godwin, have been to Parliament, but maybe if you've started debating around 2025, you have not been to Parliament, but we are praying that that could possibly come alive in the forthcoming championships. I want to congratulate you and wish us the very best as we get into the award ceremony. I'll invite Mr. Akandwan Gracious, who will not speak for so long, just a minute, and he will start. He will start on the awards, okay? We'll start on the awards. I would request that as we go back, please make sure you've registered with us. But if you have access to social media, you know we have the scholars. Please feel free to follow us on social media at NDC Uganda, on Instagram, TikTok, and X. We are also on YouTube. You can get some of the content that that we've been uploading for the past time. For now, allow me to invite the gentleman to speak to us in a minute, and then we shall kickstart on the awards. The judges are also here. That means the results could be ready. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. The National Debate Council representatives, the adjudicators, teachers present, students, ladies and gentlemen. Good evening. My name is Akandwan Gracious. I work with Key Corruption out of Uganda as the communications officer. And at this moment, I'm standing in on behalf of our executive director, Mr. Kakuru Robert Byamugisha. Do you know him? He's our executive director. I bring greetings from him. The first and foremost, I want to first congratulate everyone who has participated in today's tournament. Congratulations. I want to say debate is not all about competition. It is a platform that can build your confidence, that can make you think critically. And therefore, you need to use it because you still have a chance. I also want to say, Key Corruption out of Uganda is a non-profit organization with a mission of facilitating communities to demand for good governance and accountability for improved service delivery. We envision a corruption-free society. Have you heard about Key Corruption out of Uganda? Yes? Okay. We partner with non and state actors, where we have the National Debate Council. We also have the IGG. We partner with PPDA and other government institutions. When it comes to empowering and facilitating communities to demand for good governance and accountability for improved service delivery. You are part of us, and you are our ambassadors. I want to extend appreciation to the National Debate Council. Thank you very much for organizing this tournament. Last time, I was also here. I saw what transpired. And actually, I'm inspired by the theme of this tournament. Algorithmic edge, ethics, safety, transparency, and accountability. This is the way to go. The world has changed, and we need to embrace the use of technology. But we must be responsible. You are the future leaders. You will be policymakers. You'll be the ones occupying these positions, like the way you were debating about Anita Moore. At one point, you can be there. I want to say you need to have integrity. Integrity is what you do when others are not seeing you. You talked about bribes, but when you go back at school, you start cheating. Cheating is part of corruption. And when it keeps growing, now when you get a chance of occupying that seat, now you start stealing money. I want to say, let's stand for integrity. And I want to congratulate the winners and everyone who has participated. We are all winners. Can we clap hands for ourselves? National Debate Council, we pledge our support as Key Corruption out of Uganda. We pledge to continue working with you. Please make use of us. We are a civil society at a grassroots level, and for us, we reach. Currently, we work in the 7 districts of Kigezi sub-region, where we have Ruchiga, Kabale, Kanungu, Kisoro, Lukunjiri, and Ntungamo. And we have a mandate of working across the entire country. I request, make use of us. When I was in secondary, I happened to be the debate club president at St. Jerome Secondary School, Ndama. Debate shaped me to become who I am. When I reached at the university, I happened to be the guild minister of ICT. I became the GRC for computer science. Then I was appointed to be the guild minister of ICT. I also happened to be the commissioner for public relations under the Electoral Commission at KABALE University. Recently, I got a chance to be in parliament. Can you clap hands for me? I'm saying all this because I was once like you. We were debating about the sovereignty bill. So at one point, you can also be part and be in parliament. And I'm also planning to contest as the member of parliament of the constituency 2031. It is slow but sure. I want to say thank you so much. May God bless you.
Don't be like people from where I don't want to mention. Where I be, where I live. Okay, let's all put our hands together to the patron of KABALE Brainstorm to help us award the next category of awards. We are getting into poetry. Sorry. Yes, please proceed. We'll be doing top speakers. We'll be doing top speakers. We'll be doing top speakers. Yes, let's go.
Okay, we are going to begin with the 10th best speaker, who was Ajuka Susan. Let's start with them. Congratulations, Susan.
Please pause, don't rush. You need this for future reference.
Okay, that we shall have the 8th best speaker, that is Nsima Precious. Nsima Precious. Congratulations. We shall have another 8th best speaker, that is Atukwase Juliana. Atukwase Juliana. She's not around. Okay, we shall have the 7th best speaker, that is Atumanyure Faith Keret. Congratulations. Where is she? Is she around? Faith Atumanyure, something like that. Okay, Atukwase Juliana. Let's have the fifth best speaker, that is Karhanga Man. I'm starting to think we are biased because we are only clapping for only male students. Okay, the fifth best speaker again is Susan Merissa. Congratulations. Fourth best speaker, Chiravo Lucy. Okay, second best speaker, I'm going to get Angela. Angela? She's also not around. The other second best speaker is Kesa. Is she around? Okay. Okay, then the best speaker. In debate, we always stand up for the best speaker. The best speaker, we're going to, you know how they clock it? Okay, those who can clock it, you're going to clock it. Those who can clap, will clap. Okay, the best speaker for this tournament was KABALE Doris. Doris, let's clap for her until she reaches here. Congratulations. Okay, we can now take our seats.
Yes, guys, next time, clap everyone. Clap what? Everyone. So we are getting into speech event. Speech. What do we start with? Poetry? Public speaking? Storytelling, eh? You love stories and like telling lies. Eh? One of the judges said storytellers are good liars. So we're going to invite a patron for Chigezi College. Let's ask together to welcome the patron of Chigezi College. Let's clap until he's here. Is it the only senior school? Eh? Sure. Okay, you're welcome on board. You are not yet too senior until you join this space. Eh? So we have ordained you. Go and still be senior in debate, right? You have been senior. We also want you to still be senior in debate. Thank you so much. Your award storytellers.
Okay, I guess we were so many in storytelling, but we are going to begin with the second runners-up in storytelling. And that is none other than Murungi Sandra. Murungi Sandra, we agree to clap for everyone. Let's clap for them until they reach. Why are we jealous? Congratulations. The first runners up for storytelling is, let's clap for them. Drum roll. Drum roll. Drum roll. The first runners up for storytelling. The second runners up, please come back. You see the privileges of doing tournaments. Let's not be jealous. Clap for her.
Show off your certificate. Yes. Good swag.
Looking smart. The first runners-up storytelling is Aneba Nepal. We agreed we clap for them until they reach. Congratulations, Paul. Okay, the most awaited person and the position. Who can guess? Drum roll. Drum roll. Okay, the winner of this category of storytelling. When we announce the winner, the patron also comes with a winner. You see the privileges of winners. So, the winners of storytelling is Asingwire Daniela. Asingwire Daniela. Congratulations. Please clap. Where is the patron? Okay.
Excuse us. Please come. Receive this
See what
petrol.
Okay.
Just clap them.
They also have a certificate for the school. Immaculate Heart Girls.
Okay, let's give a round of applause to the coach of the senior school. The only senior. The only what? The only senior around the world. Huh? Beyond Chigezi to some parts of Rwanda and some parts of Zaire, right? Infinite, huh? And some parts of Asia. You guys, okay. Yes, peace. Next, let's put our hands together to welcome the patron of, this is, yes, Chisoro Vision.
Patron Chisoro Vision is going to help us award
the poetry category. Please clap, 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 clap.
Okay, for poetry, we are going to begin with the finalists. One is we have Rehoboth as a finalist. Let's clap for. Are they available? Are they around? Let's clap for them until they reach. You see, when you don't win, you clap for the rest until they reach. As she's receiving her certificate, we have another finalist. That is Birunji Bridget. Birunji Bridget. She was a finalist in the poetry category. Then we go to the second runners-up. The second runners-up in this category is Kansi Mereza. Kansi Mereza, around. Congratulations. But runners-up are not happy. Please try as much as possible to be happy and smile. Okay, then the first runners-up for poetry is Namanya Tracy. Namanya Tracy. Clap. I'm going to tell us to stand up if we don't clap. Congratulations, Tracy. Okay, when I announce the winner, you come with a patron. Is that okay? And what are we going to do when we announce the winner? We do what? Okay, drum roll. Drum roll. So the winner of the poetry category is Marjorie. Marjorie. And that is Immaculate Heart Girl. Congratulations, Marjorie.
Thank you so much, the patron, Kisoro Vision. Urabakunda chane. That's how you say it, eh? Eh? Urabakunda chane. Eh? Both, eh? Okay, let's put our hands together to welcome the patron of Muko High School. Patron Muko High School, here? Oh, wow. She has a gift in her hands. Yes, yes. You guys are not gifts, eh? Oh, you are not once babies. Let's welcome her to award the next category of public speakers.
Okay, we're going to begin with the finalists. Agaba John Bosco. The other finalist is Sperantia. Congratulations. We go to the second runners-up. We have Asimire Precious. Congratulations, Precious. The first runners-up for the PS category is Agava Irene. Agava Irene, is she around? Congratulations. As usual, when we call the winner, you come with a patron because there are two certificates for the school and the winner. Drum rolls. Drum rolls. Okay, the winner of the public speaking category is Nankunda Kendra Kam. Let's clap for her.
Okay, let's clap and congratulate everyone. There was a lady, a young girl I liked. During nationals, we have a clip of her when she's preparing for her speeches, my friend. She's like those pastors who intercede. You see her strolling around and she's speaking to walls and trees. Irene, I am talking about you. So I was not shocked to see you here. Whatever you guys invest in, to be at the top, we know is so much, and we credit you for that. Let me welcome the coach of, yes, the patron of St. Mary's College, Rushorosa. Yeah. Moses Kitts is one of our senior coaches, very calm man. He gives bonuses when you win a round. So winners, if you win, you get a bonus.
Okay, we are going to award the semi-finalists. We are going to begin with... Okay, we are going to begin with Atukwase Juliana. Atukwase Juliana. Next in line is Angela. I'm going to get Angela. She's not around. Okay. The other semi-finalists, this is for debate. Prudence Lucy. Congratulations. We are going to go to the runners up, but okay, we are going to go to the second runners up. We have Dorek. Okay, she was the second runners up in debate. Clap your hands. Why are we jealous? Next time better, yeah? Okay. The other person is at Higher Faith KZ. Clap for them. The other we have Anijuka Susan. Okay, the patron also. So the runners up for the debate category, the second runners up for the debate category were KABALE Trinity. Let's clap for them.
I know. Please clap, clap, clap. So just arrange for a group photo there.
And please don't hide. Yes, show off. Yes, being third best is not an easy task. Congratulations, KABALE Trinity. Trinity College. KABALE Trinity. Your badge is very interesting. I was trying to read according to the badge. Thank you so much, kids, for honoring this award. Now, lastly, I want to invite these people. I want to take the honor to invite Mr. Niwamanya Anxious. I also want to invite Mr. Akandwanaho Gracious. I also want to invite, in a special way, look at me. Okay. I'm going to, in a special way, invite I want to invite you, but you're not looking at me. I want to invite you, but you're not looking at me. I want to invite Godwin in a special way. As a leader, right? Once a debater, now he's a politician. The next time he's the next, who's the Minister of Finance? You guys, money is always here. So Godwin, Mr. Nwamanya Anxious is our regional coordinator, but is also very involved in our programs. Around? If I say him around? Oh, okay. Sorry. So I will lastly now invite someone else to replace. Let me call one of our alumni as well, who is a very special person. And put your hands together. Welcome. Who wants to come? Okay. CA, please step here. I just want to hand over the microphone as you do these honors. Let's put our hands together to welcome the patron of Trinity. A patron of Trinity to join this team to help us award the next awards of debate. And I'll request that the two teams will stand up. If you can't, please just keep seated. But if you can, you would stand up. Our request will maybe step a little bit here. A little bit. Yes. So Brian will make announcements, and after that announcement, we'll have the awards.
Good evening again, everyone. I think before I make the final announcement, I'd like to first appreciate everyone for what has been quite a lot, and also extend my appreciation to the debaters and students. You guys have been very cooperative. We didn't really entertain any issues that came up with debate, and I think that must have been good. That must have shown cooperation on your side and on our side as well. So we started the debate with about 14 teams and 7 rooms, and finally we have a finals where we had Immaculate Heart in proposition side, and then we had St. Mary's Rosa on the opposition side. We had a lovely panel of 5 where Regan was chair, I myself was panelist, and I also would like to shout out to the members of that panel. The other members, Shadrach, Aaron, and Shanice. The deliberation was very fruitful, and it was a very tight debate. It was a very tight debate between these two teams in the finals, and the call was a 5-0. The call was a 5-0, but that does not reflect the fact that the debate was easy. It was quite hard, but the panel was also quite competent for that matter. And we decided that the team that wins this year's regional competition is drum rolls. The team that wins this regionals, this team had all 3 speakers putting on uniforms. Okay, guys, we are cutting the jokes because the time is out. All right, all the 5 judges decided that the team that wins this debate is the team that debated in
Chigezi region.
Okay, all the 5 judges decided that the team that won this debate is the team that debated in the proposition side.
Okay, please, CA, it's a very calm man. He's a very calm man. So we shall start with runners-up. Let's start with runners-up. St. Mary's College, Rushoroza. We come with our patron and we do the awards. So please, if they don't shake your hand, don't say, I can't. Okay? All right. Please let's clap St. Mary's College. Let's congratulate them. Thank you so much for putting up a very good fight. Yeah, please come. They don't find you where you are. It is you guys that move. Give a handshake to all these, and then after, please you stay for a photo moment. The patron. Hey, we are sorry here. When we say patron, you guys know your school politics, eh? Oh, coach. You know school what? Politics. For us at administrative level, we know patron, coach. Congratulations. Let's congratulate St. Mary's College, Shorosa. Yeah, they have been the reigning champions, right? Yes, for the region. So, yeah, reaching this final still makes a great mark. Thank you so much.
You make my day. Yes, I'm
Those are in mark. So we just need to find what's the name? Those, yeah, yes. So those you put it in the in this end. You won't review. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, let's congratulate our dearest champions. Let's clap. Let's clap, guys. Let's clap. It's not. So you start from one side, handshake, they give you your goodies, and then later, the patron as well. We recognize efforts of patrons and coaches. They struggle for you, just come. Put on your uniform, enter the van, and you come here. I don't know what struggles they go through. So our patrons and coaches, we celebrate you. Please, that hand clap, let's do the art. Let's do the art. Yes, we come.
KABALE, we stand so tall. KABALE, second to read.
Let's just receive. One by one. Congratulations, we line up here. Mr. Agnes is here. Please come, you must not miss in this photo. I called you, but I think you had stepped out.
Education is sports, we're second to none. Teachers guiding us every single day, building our future in every way.
Here we pass it on to Mr. Gracious, who will in turn help to transfer this mighty trophy to the champions of the 14th NSDC Sugar Regional Qualifiers Champions. Let's receive that. Let's be here for a moment. The runners up. English is not English. Runners up, let's come.
Runners up. Okay. So this is a historical photo moment. And the rest of us, you make these people smile, eh? Okay. One last one. If you have any awards, this is the last photo. Any awards, medal. All your certificates are in envelopes that we've given to schools. So just want to do a group photo here, and we close this. We want to thank you. You'll receive letters to nationals very soon, within this week. So you start preparations on the journey to December. We shall be announcing the host school very soon, but it will be in the capital city. All right? Thank you so much. If you have any